Greetings, everyone. This is Kelly Laurila here from Wilfrid Laurier University in Ontario, Canada. My focus of this poster was related to my dissertation research, and it addressed an unlikely singing partnership between an Indigenous women and girls drum circle and a local white settler male police chorus. I was interested to know from the participants why the partnership had lasted 5 years. This question is significant given the historical and ongoing police violence against Indigenous peoples, particularly Indigenous women and girls. Elsewhere in the conference, I talked about the two middle circles, and I'll just briefly state that this partnership would not have been enabled to continue for as long as it has without the establishment of an ethical space of engagement, and it was found to have willingness of partners, responsibility, accountability, and reciprocity, as well as ethics about what would help to maintain this relationship. And it had to do with truth, love, respect, honesty, courage, humility, and wisdom. I turn your direction to the larger part of this circle, and I want to make note that the circle is symbolic for Indigenous peoples as it represents holism and the interconnectedness of all of life. All of my research is represented within circles, and this is just one aspect of that. Beginning in the eastern quadrant, song is a bridge to something more. Having a common interest in song is the only reason that our two groups came together. With all of the violence, they may not ever have come in together. And with the foundational pieces of ethical space, there started to be dialogues with one another, listening, asking questions, empathy, understanding. And I asked the police chorus a question you'll see in the blue cloud. If we had not done this partnership, would you have done the same kind of learning on your own regarding Indigenous peoples? And the police chorus said, probably not. This comment speaks to the necessity for engagement in order to develop a care or a reason to want to know. It is a white privilege that allowed the police chorus men to not know to this point about Indigenous peoples. In number two, in the southern door, song is a bridge to communicate. There were some significant deep moments that transpired between these two groups. One is when our drum circle experienced racism in a church and we were kicked out for drumming there. I have shared this story elsewhere in the conference, but what I will say here is song was used as a way for the police corps to express their grief for us having experienced this racism. The song by Oscar Hammerstein, You'll Never Walk Alone, was sung by the men. In number three, song is a bridge to knowledge. Each year at our annual singing event, the planning group, which represents members from both the Indigenous Women and Girls Drum Circle and the police chorus, raised themes that were Indigenous centered, because that's the focus we wanted to center on. The men in the greater chorus started wondering, well, why these themes? And they started to do their own homework and reading and having discussions with one another and their family. In the beginning, they did not know much about Indigenous peoples, and they did not know why they were singing with them. The blue cloud comment is a man asks, what does reconcile mean? And another one says, I got into trouble with the police a few times in my youth. If I was in other groups, other than a white male group, maybe I wouldn't have been let off so easy. And the drum circle women and girls recognized that it might have been hard for the police corps to not put up a wall with us, considering the discomfort and the unsettling of what they were learning. In the northern door, number four, song can reflect the growth and development of the partnership. So because again, the foundations and the ethics were established there in the center of the circle, the partnership had a chance to grow more deeply in learning about colonization, racism, and Indigenous peoples. And this learning was reflected in the choice of songs that members wished to convey to the audience. As this partnership grew, we hoped that our singing together would disrupt what audiences might have thought, the divides that they saw, the violence that they saw, and not to say those didn't exist, but to also see the potential for something else, for an ethical engagement, for respect, humility, and kindness. Members talked about at this stage also about actions that needed to be done, changes that needed to happen with our government or within policing services or with public education. So, in closing, this singing partnership didn't just happen. Conscious intention of what was wanted was ever present. The ethics enabled it to continue. And while song brought the adversaries together, dialogue helped to shift how each saw the other. Thank you for listening, all my relations.